All right, time to bust some chops. So somebody donated this today. This is the Pro. That means it's for professionals. If you're not a professional, you shouldn't be touching this. Okay, so this product is made by AudioControl, of course, and it is meant to compensate for some of the protective settings that are engineered into factory radio systems. So what that means is that, and I had this before recently with my mechanic, Tom. He had a CTS, older model, had the Bose system in it, and we put a sub in there, and I disconnected his factory sub, put an LOC on it, and he just was like, he got pissed that he couldn't turn it all the way up without killing the sub. I go, dude, you got to use some fucking reason, be reasonable. He didn't want to be reasonable, right? And so, he bought a Cadillac. That's not a reasonable person. So, so in the factory systems, what they do is they make it dummy proof, right? Because you're a dumb child. Especially if you're buying a luxury car like that, that's a dumb purchase. It's wasteful. You're also not getting any of the status that you get when you buy a BMW or a Lexus. So, but anyways, and I saw the same thing in, I own or technically my wife owns it, but it's a Camry Hybrid 2014. The thing fucking beeps at me all the fucking time over the dumbest shit. And then I rented, when I was doing the concept stuff, I rented a car because I didn't want to leave her without a car, and I didn't want to take my truck. And so I went down to Enterprise, and they're like, we have the minivan or the Lexus. I'm like, I'm taking the Lexus. So, and guess what the Lexus does? The Lexus does not beep the fuck at me. It treats me like an adult, because I guess if you're an adult, you're going to drive something like that. Now, however, I thought that was just interesting that Toyota would do that on those two different brands. Like if you pay 80 grand, then they're not going to bother you with safety stuff, right? I'm rich enough. I don't have to bother with safety stuff, which sounds like a Kardashian thing, which it is. But anyways, so back to the OEM systems. So OEM systems protect dealers don't want any fucking problems from idiots. And if you're buying a new car, you're pretty much an idiot. They want it so that you can turn it up all the way and it won't blow. It'll sound like shit, but it won't kill the speakers. And what it does with that is the louder you turn it up, and you'll notice especially if you put it on like an O-scope and you're watching the frequencies, you can see that like up after like say 15, the number 15, it'll start to sort of create. I don't know if it's a notch filter, it's just an equalization circuit or whatever it is. I would love to. I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube that knows exactly what it is, but what they do is they start turning down the bass so that you can't get any more bass, because the factory radio knows that there's no subwoofers, or the subwoofer that it does have, it doesn't want to overload. So this product, I had to tell you that story to tell you this story. So this product is meant to compensate for that. Okay. Because typically when you get an OEM system, and I've had this problem too, is that, I hook up the OEM. This guy was deaf. For a while there, I had a bunch of deaf clients that just wanted to feel lots of bass, and I would give it to them, but they kept blowing fucking woofers, and they're on disability, and they're spending their fucking disability check with me, and I'm like, lower your fucking, demands, lower your fucking expectations, dude. You like $1,000 system is a lot for me. Like I can do a lot with $1,000, but I'm not fucking a magician, and so, or that came out wrong. Have I fucked any magicians? Anyways, that guy ended up taking me to small claims, and then the magistrate was like, he's like, after I told my story, he told his story, and then the magistrate's like, so basically you're not satisfied, and he goes, yeah, and then he lost, of course, and then he got mad, and he says, this always happens to me, It's like, well, because you're an idiot. It's not because you're deaf. It's because you're dumb. So, but there's a lot of, believe me, there's a lot of deaf people that are dumb because they're not picking up on a lot of the social cues and some other stuff. That's why it's learning disability. Nothing against deaf people at all. Nothing. But there's a lot of dummies out there, and there's a lot of dumb people in the population together. We covered that. They buy Cadillacs, or they buy luxury cars. Those are dumb purchases. But anyways, I hope in the future that everybody sits on a Tesla white car that has nothing. So that way you can fucking text and jack off at all at the same time, and no one's bothered, and no one even drives anymore. That's the future that I want to have. So back to the LC2 or LC1 or whatever the fuck they call this. So it has a line output converter built into it that has the speaker level input, and then it has the regular controls, which is remote in, constant 12 volts, and then a ground. So it does have a remote in and out, which is really just a distro block. You'll see just a short inside on the board, and that's just so that you don't use a crimp cap or some sort of wire nut to distribute your remote turn on. Also, this thing really pulls no current. Technically, it is a line driver, which is kind of dumb though, because you're going to knock the signal down and then you're going to drive it up, which is whatever. And then you can go back here, and this basically has a clipping indicator, which is their AccuBase. That is a proprietary name. It's probably trademarked, but it doesn't have the trademark thing. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to make a ripoff, call it AccuBase, because they have not spent the $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it is now to trademark that. So, but the other thing is, I was talking to my buddy about this. What was it? One of my contacts for China, and there's a lot of reasons why this is not knocked off, and that's because it's when you describe it to a Chinese engineer, they go, "That's dumb. Why would you buy that when this doesn't have it, but like the amp will have built-in, see, this Prime has it. Yeah, see, so the Prime has it. So right there, it has speaker level input, high level input, speaker level input. So it doesn't need this, whatever this is, $100, $79, it's $79 too much. You don't really fucking need it. Now, does it give you really cool things and boost the bass where you want it? Yeah. So, and what probably makes this really, really profitable is that it doesn't have any high-tech gadgetry inside. And you'd have to protect that with a patent. It's probably something very, very simple, but I would love somebody to dissect this that is smarter than me, probably like Arthur Wilkes, who used to do the R&D for MTX. I don't know if you can Google his name, but you can definitely look up MTX tech support. He does the video about setting your gains by ear, which is really the easiest and the simplest and to me, the smartest way to do it, because you're the one that's going to be listening to the system. But yeah, you can look at setting your amp gain by ear, MTX, and then that will be Arthur Wilkes. And he's a very talented guy, but he got out of car audio because there's too many douchebags and people ripping you off and shit like that. So, but this is what the LC2 does, and it's really the dumbest thing in the world. But I did want to show you the Briggle Wiggle. The Briggle was asking, he's like, what's inside of this thing? And so I'll show you. There's a couple of dumb things inside of it. So, which is one is the line output converter, right? Which is the speaker level input. So this is $1.67 shipped off of AliExpress. And the hack for AliExpress is you have to order one at a time, and that's where you'll get free shipping, which is fine. Your credit card company doesn't care if you make 11 $3 purchases. So, but this is built in there, and really what a line output converter is just some simple resistors, some capacitors to basically filter down the power, is to knock down the power. That's what the resistor's for. And then it has this one doesn't even have that. Oh, this one, this is not the fancy one. The fancy one has what they call Balon transformers. Here it is. This is the fancy one. This one has Balon transformers. Now, Balon transformer is probably named after some guy named Balon who figured out that you could just do a 1-to-1 transformer, and it's what's called a impedance mismatch transformer. Really, what it does is it just passes the signal through, and if there's other issues like a grounding issue or some noise on there, usually what it does is eliminates it. And you'll find that in the what's called GLI, which is a ground loop isolator, which I have was it? Oh, here they are. They're over here. So, which I just got a bunch from Recoil, which he was like force feeding me these. He's like, here, these are the fucking band-aids of the audio industry. You don't need them. If you're using them, you're doing it wrong. Because if you have that kind of noise, you have a piece of faulty equipment that you need to replace or fix. Not use a 1-to-1 transformer, or ground loop isolator, to band-aid the problem and just make the hiss less quiet, or the engine noise less quiet. Where was the other one? Oh, here's the other one I get. Yeah, here's the other one I get. I love this one. This one is the what is it? This is just their brand, TSK, right there, the TD12. That's what you want to search on AliExpress. This one is a alignment output converter. It's the fancy one with the Balun transformers in it. Is it? I'm lying. Right there. I see it. Just resistors. That's all it does. So it just knocks down the high voltage. It's got 2 pots to make it seem like it's fancy. Most people just crank those up anyway. But this one's great because it has what they call auto sensing, where it senses a little bit of signal on there and then it switches 12 volts to your amp. So that way you don't have to go look for an accessory wire, which, if you noticed, I think GM finally brought it back, but GM for like a good decade got rid of the accessory wire. And that was probably to force you to buy equipment from a manufacturer that they also own. I know a lot of you guys with the Monte Carlos, when they brought the Monte Carlo back, they make you buy this Metro harness that's like $150, and it goes from front to back. And of course, the stereo dealer guy makes money on that, and so he wants to sell it to you, even though you don't need it. In fact, what it does is all it does is enable the ding, the annoying fucking cheap sounding piece of shit ding that GM gives you. And so you don't need it. That's why, it's easier just to buy an amp like this that has speaker level input and then just fucking go for it. Is it going to be super perfect? No. Is it going to sound like the LC2? No. I'm sure they put a lot of testing and engineering into this thing, and it's a very sweet, pretty turd. But, if you think that you need this, go for it. Don't let me fucking stray from the path, right? Of all the cheapness that is Robot Underground, right? So that's my review on the LC1 Pro. Thanks, guys. I love you. I will talk to you later. Who the fuck says I love you, fag?